Good morning. We take a quick look at how global markets stacked up on the first day of the new week starting yesterday. Economic data from China as well as the US weighed in on indices globally, and indices were quite a mix in close on Monday. China GDP grew in quarter 3 of calendar year 21, grew by 4.9%, which came in below expectations, which were at almost 5.2%. So that came in slightly lower. Also, US industrial production for the month of September fell due to supply constraints. The first fall in US industrial production in the last 6 to 7 months, which kind of weighed in on the Dow. The Dow was down almost 10 basis points in trade at close on Monday. The S&P 500 though continued going up, was up around 1/3% in trade on Monday, and the Nasdaq was up around 4/5% plus in trade on Monday. Moving on to how Europe is looking, Europe was weighed down by China's industrial production as well as China's GDP numbers. China's industrial production coming in at 3.1% versus the projected 4.5%. Maybe some of the power cuts playing a role in that particular number. The DAX, CAC 40 and Stock 600 all reversed Friday's gains, closing over 0.5% lower in trade on Monday. The DAX was down almost 3/4%, the CAC 40 down 4/5% plus, and the Stock 600 was down around 0.5% in trade at close on Monday. The FTSE 100 though was down around 0.4%. Not a pretty picture for Europe and European indices. Moving on to Asia, the industrial production and the Chinese growth both had Asian markets closing mixed yesterday. The Nikkei, Shanghai and the Kospi ended lower, while the Hang Seng and the SGX 200 rose at close of trade yesterday. Both the SGX 200 as well as the Hang Seng rising just above 0.25% each. Major Asian markets have opened in the green today, with the Nikkei as well as the Kospi reversing some of yesterday's losses, reversing those up over 0.25% in early trade today. The Nikkei is up almost 1/3% in early trade, and the Kospi is up almost 0.5% in early trade. However, the real notable number here is the SGX Nifty Futures. The SGX Nifty Futures was up for an 8th day in a row yesterday, and continues to be up in 10 out of the last 11 trading sessions. Closing yesterday, it continues to be higher, marginally higher in trade today as well, and it continues to breach all-time highs. Very good news for Indian markets at least. The London Metal Index was 0.5% lower as commodity prices cooled off. Aluminium closed marginally lower, with copper and iron ore both down almost 1% yesterday. Oil prices, as I mentioned, pulled back a bit, are currently at the US $82 a barrel mark in early trade today. Brent is at just above the $83 a barrel mark, and gold continues to be under pressure at around $1768 an ounce. The dollar index was absolutely flat in trade yesterday. In fact, was up around 2 basis points, so traded with a positive bias. It has opened over 10 basis points lower in early trade today. The US 10-year Treasury yields are slightly higher, but absolutely flat in comparison to the same time yesterday, is at around 1.574%, and the Bitcoin is just below the 62,000 mark. A matter of consolidation for the Bitcoin, I believe. That's the overall picture of how things are looking on global markets, commodities, crypto, and currency, of course.